I just returned from a ministry trip to Uganda and Kenya, and it was awesome. It was so good that I don't want to keep it to myself. I want to share with you some of the things that we saw, some of the things that we experienced. God is just doing some wonderful things, and we are blessed to be a part of this.
Well, it started with you challenging me 3 years ago to go out there and find out what the needs were. We were discipling people, but you were touched by the poverty, so you said, how can we help these people? And of course the key element was water, or the lack of it.
You can go across places like this.
Huh?
Yeah.
Here.
Well, I can do this. So we went as far as the road went, and then we drove, dodging trees, came to a river that we couldn't cross, got out and walked for, I don't know, 1 or 2 miles, and got back into this remote place.
Magongo.
And there was a water well that we had drilled. I mean, they had to get out with machetes and clear brush and stuff to get the drilling machines in there.
They created a road.
And it has changed their life.
Yeah.
It has. But you know, one of the things, Andrew, that we found, this just really impacted me. These ladies were talking about walking. It wasn't that particular one, it was the other one. But they were talking about walking, having to make 8-hour trips to get water.
Oh, that's right.
To the mountain where the water was, and then back to their village. And I remember the one elderly lady, she wasn't that big around. I mean, just tiny thing. And she was talking about carrying the water pot on her head and coming back from the mountain and then hitting a tree or spilling it and having to go all the way back to the mountain to get water. And now the well, it just changed all that.
That's right. Do you remember Kopetawoi, where we drilled next to what was a seasonal river? And they said before that well came, there would be water, not very frequently, but if they went down there, they would get snake bites. Yeah. But it was so dry that when the children cried, the bees would come and settle on their faces for the moisture, and their faces would be swollen with bee stings.
There's no water in the place, and so, you know, bees pollinate, isn't it? So they're looking for water. So even when children would be crying, bees would be coming.
Really?
Yeah, the place is a desert.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize.
Real desert.
Not only are we drilling the well, but we're putting as much emphasis and money into training the whole community. So it's an 11-step process, and we have to get buy-in from that community, and Ricky is hands-on with that.
Explain who Ricky is. Ricky is a jewel that God has given us.
He's been out there pretty much 2.5 years, nearly 3 years now, on the ground, overseeing the discipling program, but everything that we do basically, Demo is giving people the word and teaching them to fish. And so with the well drilling, he's overseen all of that.
And he establishes, I think there's 8 people for each well. He makes one person the person who's responsible for cleaning it, another one maintenance.
That committee is representative of the whole community. They have a chairman, a secretary and a treasurer. Now here's an interesting thing. As a result of having this committee, which is now a vehicle, and everybody gives a little bit of money towards the well, so there's community ownership, but Ricky's now using that vehicle, if you like, for a village savings and loan scheme.
Little green box, and it's got something stenciled
right
on the top about Andrew Haman.
It's got Andrew Haman Ministries on the top,
And it's got VSLA. And so the Macongo had saved the equivalent of about $100 in 6 months' time.
Here is the debt, here is the share. One box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you can. And
the second village that you pronounce?
Kopetawoi.
There you go. That place had saved about $200, and they had also they had got some land that they
bought
had 2 acres.
2 acres, which the church was using.
You know, they told us that what they ate was honey. They had bees, and they had honey, and they ate leaves, and of course they have a few little goats and cows. Those things are pretty scrawny. You couldn't feed much. Termite. Yum yum.
Yeah, those are termites.
But anyway, they don't have hardly anything to eat. They eat twigs and leaves. And to raise maize and corn, it's going to change their whole diet.
Exactly.
One of the things that amazed me when we got to Kenya, we held 1 day's worth of services, and we held 3 services that day. But when I got up and announced things and held up a book, they would all shout and clap. Those people had gotten my material. My first time in Kenya, And those people knew my material.
Absolutely.
It was phenomenal.
We have 1,000 students in Kenya and as many as 4,000 nationwide listening to his teachings.
We were in several places where we would have anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 people in attendance. And I was sitting by Grace LeBega and you were ministering. And all of a sudden, people just got up. There was 5,000, 6,000 people. They just got up and started coming to the altar and throwing money down at your feet. And I just thought, well, that must be common. That's the way they do it here. And Pastor Grace leaned over me and he goes, I've never seen, because then it became hundreds. It was a few at first.
Just about everybody.
And then just hundreds and hundreds of people came. And he told me, he said, that don't happen.
So we need to go on to Kenya, and I want to talk about going to see Mike and Pat Heiser. They're people that I've known for 35 years, and they graduated from our Kansas City Charis Bible College, and they have gone back to Kenya, and they've been in Kenya now, I think, for 16 years, and I think they have, isn't it 16 children that they've adopted?
Yes.
Yeah, off the streets.
And they have started, I think they've started 23 Bible schools, and they have 26 churches that they've started in these 16 years. And I mean, miracles happening, people being raised from the dead, people getting born again, and just awesome things happening. They use our material. All of these kids came off of the street. They're being sold, they're just abandoned. And Mike and Pat, if it hadn't have been for them, every one of these kids would have been dead. But you know, Mike and Pat, they told one story about when they first got there that Pat was just lifted up. She wondered what was happening, and the guy was choking her, and he choked her until she passed out and hit her head and did some damage to her and stole everything she had. They cut the pants off of Mike and took his wallet. And I was saying things about, man, I just appreciate you so much being here and doing this. And Pat was like, well, there's nothing to it. This is what God called us to do. I mean, it's just like, what else would we be doing?
Their house has been attacked, and Mike's been stabbed, and I mean, all kinds of things happened to them. They just act like it. Well, it's just no big deal.
They said we're doing what God told us to do, and whatever happens, you know, we were humbled.
Hello, Dottie.
So after we left there, we went to Bogoma and flew there and got to meet Dottie Haman. And I tell you, I love Dottie Haman.
She's amazing.
Dottie went there 11 years ago.
Right.
She is a graduate of our Bible college here in Colorado. She had never left her holler, is what she said. So she left there because she heard me on radio. She came to Colorado, graduated, and on her second-year missions trip, she went to Kenya. And while she was in Kenya, God gave her a vision to stay there. So anyway, after 1 year back here after graduation, she went to Kenya with $500, a one-way plane ticket.
56 years old.
Yep. And when she got there, the people that invited her over, it turned out it wasn't what they said it was. And so she spent 3 months in a hotel and spent $400 of her $500. So she had $100 left. They told her about an opportunity in Bogoma. She went up there with $100 standing between her and death.
Incredible.
And went there not knowing a single person, and she's now been there 11 years, has never come home, feeds 12, 13 kids, multiple widows, does all kinds of things. When she first went over there, they were going to have this child and they were going to kill it if somebody didn't take it. And so she went and took it the day it was born. And they brought this baby to her house, and as she put this baby in her arms, she remembered that she had miscarried a little girl. And the Lord told her 30-something years before that I'll give you another girl. And she had forgotten until she got Rachel. And when she said she just had to set Rachel down, and she got on her knees and just started praising the Lord, because 30-something years later the Lord had given her Rachel. She sent me a letter and just said that her landlord was selling the place that she was living in, and she said, just pray. She says, I know God's not going to put me and these kids out on the street. So I got up in front of our school and I showed her video. Then I read her letter, and I just said, if you would like to help her. And so our students took up $25,000. She needed $100,000. They took up $25,000, and then one couple came to me afterwards and said, we want to make up the difference, whatever it is.
Somebody said,
kids don't fit.
Andrew's wife, Jamie, had bought a pair of boots. There's a little boy there named, was his name Daniel?
I think so.
I think his name was Daniel. He's about 12 or 13 years old, and he just, the first time he saw Andrew's boots, he just nuts over cowboy boots. He wanted a pair of these boots. I was talking to Dottie about it later. But so Andrew brings these boots. When we get there, he didn't even get them out of the box.
I was there.
And this kid just grabs them out of Andrew's hand. He runs around the side of the house, and he's trying those boots on.
I want to let those of you know who watch that, of course, we are, you know, building Bible colleges. We're touching people all over the world, but really it just is as simple as what we've described today. These people are out there doing the work of the ministry, and they're touching people on a heart level. And I tell you, it's such a privilege to be a part of it. And I want you to know that those of you who give to this ministry, these are the kind of things we do. I forget the exact number, but I know I've counted over 140 different ministries that we support on a monthly basis. Some that go in and rescue children in Ethiopia out of the sex trade. We've got just things all over the world that we are doing, and when you give to this ministry, you're not only helping us pay our television bills and reach the people in the Bible colleges and things like this, but man, we are touching people, I mean, on the ground floor.